Hello. I hope I'm not too loud. Yeah, I double booked tonight again. For God's sake. I need a diary or something. Madness. But yeah, I'm gonna come on screen in a minute. I'm really hoping it goes okay tonight. My story of Gypsy Rose, and her mum Dee Dee and her boyfriend Nick. Yeah, I've had quite a busy day, so I'm a bit behind and I've been rushing around. So, yeah, touching wood, touching my head. No, but yeah, so I'm going to start my story tonight. Let's put the camera on and see if everybody can. Yeah, still a bit dark, but let me see. Is it better that way or that way? Because I'll come off screen anyway, so I can show the photos. But yeah, I'm going to screen share again and I'm going to start my story. Please work. Please go right. Please. And big love to everybody in the chat. Steve O'Mac, my friend. Mickey Mouse, big love to you. I'm just going to start with just sharing quickly this photo. Yeah, my story tonight is about I'm going to put it on like full screen a little bit as well. My story tonight is about a girl called Dee Dee, a woman called Dee Dee and her daughter Gypsy Rose. Dee Dee, she was originally from a place called Louisiana, and she was born in 1967. And she was a sister to 4 other siblings, and her relatives sort of like recalled when like Dee Dee was growing up as a child, she would have like a habit of like stealing things from her own family, and they sort of like said, oh, you know, she does that as a form of like of retaliation when things wasn't going her way. But as like, you know, Dee Dee grew up, she was a nurse. She was a nurse aide in her early years, and there was talk of like in 1997 that Dee Dee might have killed her own mother by denying her food in her care because she cared for her. And Dee Dee was also a beauty queen in her younger years as well. So, you know, she was quite used to like the spotlight. She was used to having a lot of attention. But when she was 24, she met a man called, his name was called Rob, but he was then 17 when she met him. But Dee Dee fell pregnant. I'm going to see if I can screen share another photo for you now. She became pregnant with a little girl. Let's see, I haven't screen shared. Sorry, I'm just trial and error. I'm trying. Has that worked? Let's see again. Yeah. So she became pregnant, and they both had a little girl called Gypsy Rose. And the reason why they decided to name her Gypsy Rose was because Rod, her husband, because they married, they decided to do the right thing. Like they married and before Gypsy Rose was born. But Rod liked Guns N' Roses, and Dee Dee always liked the name Gypsy Rose, so they decided to call their little girl Gypsy Rose. but like shortly after the birth of Gypsy Rose in 1991, the couple separated because, you know, Rob realised that his marriage for like Dee Dee wasn't for the right reasons. He married her because she was pregnant, and you know, he just wasn't there for the right reasons, really. I'm going to try and do another few photos for you because I want everyone to sort of like get the gist of Rod as well, because he plays a big part of Gypsy's life now to this day. But yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to try and learn to do it a bit more easier than this way. No, that's the same one. So let's go back. Yeah, so there's Rod, Dee Dee, and Gypsy Rose. Obviously, when she was a bit younger. But yeah, he sort of realised it wasn't the right thing for him, so he sort of like left Dee Dee. But Dee Dee wasn't happy with this. She tried everything in her power to sort of like try and keep Rod to stay, but you know, he just wasn't happy. But he still remained a part of Gypsy's life. He would still pay support for them and help out when, you know, whenever was needed, really. But yeah, but he noticed when Gypsy was like 3 months old, he sort of noticed, like now he's sort of noticed that she like Dee Dee was taking Gypsy to the hospital quite a lot at quite a young age, and she was sort of like having to stay overnight at the hospital because she was saying that her baby Gypsy was was having sleep apnea. She would stop breathing, so she would have to sort of stay in overnight with Gypsy. And but the hospital monitors would sort of show that everything was okay. But when she sort of came back home, she would explain like to people that, you know, she had this like sleep apnea. And yeah, so it was quite, you know, this is where it all began really, I think, for Dee Dee, with her like Munchausen by proxy. I think she, like, because she was so like used to having attention herself, being like, you know, she did have quite a lot of attention in her younger years, and I think now she had like her little girl, and you know, it became like an attention in that way really for her, you know. But yeah, she also said that Gypsy would have a wide range of health issues like muscular, I can't say this word, but I'm going to try. I'm going to explain it. It's her muscles. They would weaken and they would break down. So she went to the hospital and she came back with a wheelchair one day and said that Gypsy would have muscle I think it's I want to get it right. Dystrophia, is that right? Dystrophy, I think that might be right, correct. And it causes the muscles to weaken and break down. And Dee Dee would like make Gypsy to use like a special walker, and this is where she sort of got the wheelchair. When Gypsy was 7 or 8, I'm going to do another few more pictures. I'm going to see if I can do it this way. Is this right? Is that the same one? That's them at home. But when Gypsy was 7 or 8, and because she's, you know, she's obviously using a walker then and a wheelchair back then, but she's still, she was still sort of like being able to walk. But when she was 7 or 8, she was riding with her granddad on his motorcycle, and they had a minor accident. And basically what happened was Gypsy got like a cut on her knee. Just like, it was quite like, you could see like it was like quite a, like a, just like a deep like cut, you know, that would heal really. But Dee Dee sort of stated that that because of her muscles and everything, this is where she would have to sort of remain in the wheelchair permanently, because the muscles were deteriorating. And this is now from the age of like 8. This is where it really sort of began for Dee Dee and Gypsy. Really, Gypsy sort of learned that she was like, she was poorly, but even though, as the story goes on, you know, you'll understand, you know, a little bit more. But yeah, I'm going to show a few more pictures just quickly. Sorry, I'm hope I'm getting it right because of today. I know we keep seeing Gypsy with Rod, but Rod had actually he'd remarried by the time Gypsy was about 8. I think 8, because he got with his girlfriend when she was young. Gypsy was young, but he still remained a big part of like Gypsy's life, and he was still around. So but yeah, but when he would visit Gypsy, he also said that she, like, Dee Dee would never leave him alone on visits with Gypsy. She would always have to be there to make sure that her feeding tube, because eventually Dee Dee had persuaded the hospital to for Gypsy to have a feeding tube. So yeah, she would always be around. But I think, you know, at that time, Dee Dee was probably more worried if Gypsy had got up and walked out of the wheelchair, because, you know, Gypsy could walk. But yeah, so this is Rod, and Rod's, I think he went on to have another 2 children with his now wife, who has a lot to do with Gypsy now. But yeah, there's another picture. I disappeared again. I went out of StreamYard. No, right. I'm not sharing anymore, so I'm going to have to share again. I'm so sorry about that. I'm not with it today. I've been out all day, so yeah. Right, let's get it right. So yeah, so there's another little picture of Gypsy as well when she was younger. She loved Disney. She was fascinated with Disney characters as well, and princesses. You know, every little girl's dream. You know, they want to be a princess, and you know, they want to grow up and meet like their prince. You know, it's like a fairy tale, isn't it? And this is what Gypsy, you know, wanted to be a princess. She wanted to wear the costumes. So yeah, you know it. But I'll get back to the story. Yeah, so eventually Dee Dee stopped Gypsy from going to school at an early age. She would start homeschooling Gypsy, and she would say that her illnesses were so severe that it would sort of like jeopardize her being at school. And this is why she sort of like chose to keep her homeschooled, so she would be safer at home. But when Dee Dee and Rod split up, Dee Dee went back to live with her own dad. obviously when Gypsy had the motorbike accident, they were actually living with Dee Dee's dad and her stepmom. But when Dee Dee was living there, Dee Dee would do the cooking, and her stepmom would always complain of like bellyache. She would be sick. She would have, like, on an odd occasion, she would be hospitalized with the sickness. And she would sort of say to Dee Dee, you know, are you putting anything in my food? And eventually it got so heated that Dee Dee left home because they got heated over this sort of accusation that she was saying about her. But when Dee Dee and Gypsy left, you know, her stepmom became well again. She would stop being ill. And I think later on down the line, they actually found out that she was actually putting weed killer in her stepmom's meals, which is like, yeah, so the stepmom was right, but obviously they couldn't sort of prove anything at the time. But yeah, so they moved into like a public housing, and like Gypsy's dad would still remain and help out with bills and payments, you know, towards food to help them live, you know, sort of thing, because it was Dee Dee was struggling. I'm going to do another photo. I've got to remember not to press StreamYard back. And I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat. And I want to say a big thank you to you, Donna, because I've put it in the description below as well. Big thank you to you, because you really helped me, because I've put the film of the act, the description is in the description as well. But that film's really helped me to get a more understanding. So thank you so much, Donna. You know, big respect to you, beautiful. Thank you. I just don't want to come out again. Yeah, so this is obviously Gypsy in hospital. This is another photo of Gypsy in hospital after she had some treatment. But whilst they were living in their home, when they left, they went into like in their private renting home, and the dad was helping. What happened was, sorry, I've just lost something. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, so what Dee Dee kept doing was she kept taking her for like medical attention, like for health, like for trips, like, you know, trips to the hospital. And she would say that, like, you know, now Gypsy's now having problems with her hearing and her seeing. And she also told the doctors that Gypsy was having seizures as well, which was like becoming like every sort of few months. So the doctor prescribed Dee Dee for Gypsy some anti-seizure medication. But in August 2005, Hurricane Katrina ruined, like, just took Dee Dee and Gypsy's home. They took everything, all their belongings. They had nothing. They had to like take shelter. And it was a place set up for people who had like special needs, you know, and this is where they took shelter, you know, obviously because Gypsy needed somewhere to be. I'm going to try another photo quickly. Oh, yeah, this is the one that's coming up. Yeah, so what happened? They'd lost everything, including her birth certificate, all of her doctor's notes, records was all taken by Hurricane Katrina. So in this shelter, a doctor suggested that Dee Dee and Gypsy should relocate to another state so that they could specialize with like the procedure for Gypsy to have a feeding tube put in, because this is where Dee Dee was explaining like to the doctors that Gypsy needed to have like a feeding tube. She was basically telling the doctors what like Gypsy needed doing and what she had, and the doctors were just sort of like more just going with it, not like investigating really, I think at that time. So yeah, he decided to sort of like get Dee Dee and Gypsy moved, and this is where they had them airlifted to the next state. Like they were airlifted within the next month of the doctor requesting. So when they got to the state, they lived there in a rented home. But then Gypsy was honoured Child of the Year in 2007 for the rights of the feeding tubes. So that was a charity. That was a charity then in 2008. Yeah, so she was awarded Child of the Year. So this is now where like the social media attention sort of hit off, really. I give up. I've come out twice. I've come out twice. I meant to go into my photos, but what I keep doing, I keep pressing the back button of coming out of studio. So I'm gonna, yeah, just big hello to everyone. Am I back? I'm gone. Right, where were we? Let's go again. All right. Oh, that's, yeah, that's another, it's quite a small one, but that's a photo of, I don't know whether you can see that one very clearly. But yeah, I think this is the one of them in the rented home. Gypsy is now like permanently in a wheelchair. But yeah, this is that's Gypsy's ex new wife there. So they're very close, you know, they were very close, but Gypsy would never, Dee Dee would never leave Gypsy alone with them. So they never really got to spend like family time with Gypsy alone. So like Dee Dee would always be there. There's Dee Dee there as well. But yeah, so obviously they started to get now a lot of like social media attention, and a charity called Habitat for Humanity, they actually built them a home. I'm going to show you their home. This is what, oh no, that's Gypsy there again. I'm coming to the home. This is the home that was built. It's not a very big photo, I'm so sorry, but you get the gist. This is the home that was built for Gypsy and Dee Dee, and they even built her a special ramp for her wheelchair to be able to, you know, enter the home more easier for her. You know, they actually said that it was the biggest job that they've ever done as a charity. You know, they put a special hot tub in for her. They furnished it. Yeah, they really sort of set it out for her needs. This charity did, and it was the biggest project that they ever had built. Yeah, so you know that they're looking at, you know, Dee Dee as a single mum, you know, with a disabled daughter. You know, she was forced to leave when Katrina hit. You know, so the media's attention, like, just really, like, just got involved then. That was it. It was, I mean, the community would I'm going to just do another photo. I think I'm going to, shall I just stop this live and start again? Shall I try again? Do you think you could listen to me for another 23 minutes? Right page, let's go. Give up. Right, here we go. Let's get back to the story. Right, there we go. We're back on it. Right. Yeah, so you know, bless them, they really sort of like got Dee Dee and Gypsy involved whilst they were building as well. So they really sort of got them involved in it, you know, and it was a big project for them to do. But yeah, so the community all sort of pitched in. They would give like donations, and then it would be like free flights were given, trips to Disney World, backstage passes were starting to be given to concerts. Even stars would sort of like spend their time with Gypsy, and they would like give a donation to Dee Dee of, I think one of the stars gave her $35,000 it was. But as like Gypsy loved the Princess fairy tale, they even gave her Disneyland tickets. She went to Disneyland. So yeah, you know, she was really sort of getting the I've done it again. Does it knock me off when I do that? Sorry, I don't know if okay, right. I'm gonna move. Can I move this to there? That's better. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So they gave, oh no, I need to screen share. I think I should have done this tomorrow. But yeah, they gave them like tickets and flights to Disneyland, because Gypsy was you know, she loved princesses, being a princess. So yeah, so this is where it all began, I think, like with Dee Dee. She was taking in, absorbing all the attention, and she kept playing along with a majority of like Gypsy's illnesses. She was like put in sleepy medication in, there's somebody at my door, sleeping medication in Gypsy's feeding tube. So if people would come to visit, she would make her quite drowsy. But yeah, on the outside looking in, the neighbours and everybody would see Dee Dee as this devoting mum that was a caregiver to Gypsy. They were close. I've got another photo that, yeah, there's another photo there of Dee Dee and Gypsy together. But what Dee Dee was doing, because she was explaining to people about Gypsy having leukemia. Is that right, Donna? I think that's right, leukemia. And she would shave Gypsy's hair all off. So, and she would tell like Gypsy that she would have to do it because it would just grow scraggy, and she would sort of, this, like, she would be used to just having her hair shaved. Yeah, so, but you know, looking at her from the outside in, she'd wear the big glasses, she'd always wear long wigs, hats. I think she had to have her teeth all out at one point because her teeth had all rotten, and she had to go to the hospital to have all her teeth out because of that. But eventually, as time went on, Gypsy would, like, you know, recognize that she could walk, and you know, she would sit and eat like snacks when her mum was asleep, even though she was like nil by mouth, she had to be fed by a tube. You know, Gypsy started recognizing that, you know, things weren't right, and she could eat and walk, you know. So I think it was one point Gypsy, I think in the film, if you watch the film as well, she finds her documents in her mum's handbag and actually like realizes her age, and her mum was saying that she was 5 years younger than what she actually was. So her mum was keeping her in like a child mind like state, like 5 years back from how old she was. I think she was 19 when she found out. So 19, 18, 17. So she was making up she was 14, but she was actually 19. But yeah, I'm just going to do another couple more photos because I haven't got that many. There's another one of Gypsy and her mum. And this is the one in the film of the act that Donna told me about. This is where her mum is actually shaving her hair. And obviously, if you watch the film, you will get such a good insight of how Dee Dee was with Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and how she was towards Gypsy, and how Gypsy felt trapped. You know, she was trapped. Her mum was quite abusive towards her as well. It came out, you know, her mum would physically abuse her if she would try to do something that she wanted to do, you know. So she had that full control over Gypsy. Yeah, so yeah, let me just do another photo because I'm just gonna get to the bit now where it, and this is where Gypsy sort of would sneak out at night when her mum had had her own medication asleep, and she would sort of like find social media, Facebook, because her and her mum was already on Facebook, as the a lot of people were donating on this page for them both. But when Gypsy was actually on her trial, they actually said that she had 5 different fake Facebook accounts, and this is where she met her Prince Charming. So she would say his name was Nick. They would communicate a lot on social media and by phone. And Nick, I think they said that Nick was, I can't remember how old he was now. How old was he? Oh, I can't remember how old he was. But yeah, they were sort of like the same sort of age. But yeah, I'm waffling, guys. I'm so sorry. I just really weren't prepared for this one tonight, and it's my best. I really like I've got into this one as well all week. But yeah, so yeah, they were communicating by social media, and I think Gypsy and her mum went out to the cinema one night, and Gypsy sort of said to Nick, you know, just sort of come to the cinema and I can introduce you to my mum that way. And we can just start talking and see if my mum, you know, will sort of like, she wanted to sort of test the water a little bit with her mum, really, with this guy, Nick. But yeah, at the cinema, Dee Dee wasn't having none of it. So Gypsy just knew, she just knew that her mum just wouldn't allow her to like meet anyone or be with anyone. She just knew that, you know, Dee Dee had full control over Gypsy. You know, she was lying about her age. And Gypsy knew that she could walk, and she knew that she could eat, and you know, she knew that her mum was putting medication into her for like no sort of reason at all, I think, towards the end. And you know, she was shaving her hair, and you know, she knew her mum wasn't well, but she felt trapped, and you know, she just wanted to be that princess and feel free. And but this is where, you know, it gets a bit more, you know, that it sort of gets like not very nice now, where Gypsy messaged Nick for him to come over on the same evening as they went to the cinema, and she had messaged Nick and arranged for him to come through, I think it was the back door, and she would be in the bathroom while he would go and kill her mum. And that's exactly what happened. Nick came in through the back door. Gypsy had waited for her mum to have her medication, her sleep medication, and she went into the bathroom, and she said that she just froze. But Nick went into her mum's bedroom and he stabbed her repeatedly for, I think it was 28, 29 times. Oh, thank you, Donna. She always talks in a childish voice. Thank you, sweetheart. You've just reminded me. Donna is my angel. She reminds me of, I just, oh, Donna, you are my angel. Honestly, my diamond. But yeah, she always had like, yeah, it's so true what Donna's just said as well in chat. She always had this childlike voice, but that is like something, like when I get to her medical bit at the end, it's like that is something that never ever went. So the only thing that was medically wrong with Gypsy was she just had one lazy eye. So that is all medically that was wrong with Gypsy in the end. But her voice, you're right, it never went. She was very like sweet, childish voice. And yeah, you if you watch the film, you will like really understand more in like what I'm sort of trying to explain. I'm so sorry if I'm waffling. I'm not, you know, but yeah, and that's exactly what happened that night. And they said on the trial that um after Nick had done this, when he stabbed Gypsy's mum, she screamed out for Gypsy, and Gypsy just froze. And after he stabbed her, they sort of went into Gypsy's bedroom, and they actually had sex, and then they sort of left the home. So they went to Nick's home, which was 100 miles away. And what Gypsy and Nick had done, I want her to talk normal there. Yeah, they put a post up on Facebook and said that the bitch is dead. And one of the neighbours had actually seen the post, and this quite got them quite worried. So they went round to Gypsy and Dee Dee's home. They see the car was there, the lights were off. They were calling for Dee Dee and Gypsy, but there was no answer. They were ringing, there was no answer. So they rang the police. The police came, and that's when they found Dee Dee deceased in her bed. But then they now realised that Gypsy was missing. So she was disabled, she was missing. So they thought at the time she was disabled. So there was like a search going on for Gypsy. But the next day, through like cameras, they'd seen Gypsy and Nick walk in and out of places. I think they actually went out for a meal. And yeah, I'm going to go to some more photos because I've just missed a couple. That is actually, that is actually Gypsy and Nick there, her boyfriend. This is when they were arrested, because they were arrested the next day. There's a documentary on it as well, which I've put in the description, which will show them being arrested, because Gypsy still played along with, she was shocked that what had happened like to her mum in the station, where Nick was the one that said, yeah, I stabbed her. Gypsy asked me like to do it. So he was the one that opened up first about it, was honest about it first, where Gypsy still played along with it. And then then they got arrested for it, for the murder of Gypsy's mum, Dee Dee. So yeah, it went to trial. The neighbours were just like, they were there at the trial. They were just shocked to see like Gypsy walk in, really, because they were just like, they just could not believe that there was just nothing wrong. They were convinced that she was so poorly through what Dee Dee had said. She said that she had leukemia, she had muscle problems, she'd been in a wheelchair all her life, she had to be fed through a tube. She actually had a feeding tube like in her stomach. So, and everything towards the end came out that she only had a lazy eye. So you can understand more when you watch the film, The Act, that, you know, Gypsy wanted to be free, and, you know, she was being physically attacked by her mum, controlled. There's a documentary as well with the link I've put in the description below from Gypsy's dad's girlfriend. There's a woman that does, there's a man that's done a podcast, and she's actually his, Gypsy's dad friend, wife's friend, and she is doing a free Gypsy, it's on Facebook, to free her. But yeah, Gypsy got 10 years. I'm just going to check. Sorry. Yeah, she was sentenced to 10 years. And Gypsy's boyfriend, Nick, there, he was sentenced to 25 years for the murder. So he, in the 19th of February 2019, he was convicted for the murder of Dee Dee, and Gypsy got 10 years. I'm sure, I could be wrong, but I think she's due out in 2024. Gypsy is. You actually feel quite a lot of sympathy towards her when you see the full story. Yes, Donna, that's what I'm trying to explain, because I feel like I'm waffling a little bit, and I don't. I feel like I'm waffling a little bit, Donna, but you're right. When you watch the documentaries, you get a gist of it. But the film that you sort of spoke to me about watching, you try and put yourself in her shoes of how she was feeling, and, you know, to have somebody like, you know, who's your mum, who should be caring for you, when there's nothing wrong with you, making you like have stuff done to you. And, you know, the girl went through like operations to have tubes put in her. You know, she couldn't eat by mouth, and even though she was, you know, she said she never hated her mum, but she feels free, and like she didn't, you know, it's hard, isn't it, to, you know, explain. It shouldn't have came to that point of her and her boyfriend killing her mum. It shouldn't have come to that. But, you know, she felt trapped, and all she wanted was to be free. And yeah, no, you're waffling. It's hard to put everything she went through in words. Yeah, it is. And I've not long just come through my door before I hit live, and it was like, I've had a busy day. So but yeah, I mean, I hope this story has made a bit of sense. Yeah, I'll probably end my live and go, I remember I should have said that. Remember to say that. I done that last week. But yeah, there's a few descriptions down below. Yeah, she said she feels in jail. It's right. She feels like happy. She feels free. She can do what she wants. And in a way, you can, you know, when you've been through abuse and stuff, you can get that, can't you? But like, not to the extreme of killing her mum, you know. It's like, so you sort of try and, yeah. But yeah, I just want to say big hello to everyone. Donna, thank you so much, beautiful. Honestly, you really remind me so much. Bless you. Mickey Mouse, RJ, big love, big respect. Hello, Spunkfish. Nice to see you in here. Big love and respect to you. GTR, big love and respect to you as well. Steve O'Mac, my mate, my friend, big love and respect to you. Yeah, thank you. No. Big love. And Donna, thank you so much. Honestly, I've said thank you as well down below for you. Bless you. Oh, I've been waffling tonight, but yeah, I tried. It's true what you're saying, Donna. It's hard to like get it out, and it's like I write things down so I don't forget like dates and stuff, and I jot like little bits down. But yeah, I found the act did focus on the murder more, and the documentary shows more about the abuse. Yeah, it's good to watch them both. I totally agree. I've put them both in the description as well. Yeah, 100%. You should come on more often. Oh no, I like to do my weekly ones. I just like to stick to my weekly lives. Mickey Mouse, honestly, takes me all week to research it, and then I'm still not got this one right. But yeah, big love to everyone. Thank you for all popping in. Bless you. Thank you all for popping in. Thank you for watching. But yeah, this one was a bit of a tricky one to do. It's a bit delicate, really, this one. But yeah, big love. Peace out. Thank you.